Welcome to Richard and Greg, a channel dedicated to discussion, debate and argument on a whole array of topics. Today Greg and I discuss the latest coronavirus figures, plus the calls of various UK and European political party leaders to delay the Brexit negotiations, which are supposed to be finalised by the 31st of December of this year because of the coronavirus issue permeating government's thoughts and actions, thereby leaving insufficient time for a judged and appropriate negotiation process. We asked Greg his point of view on this, including whether he believes this is just a tactic of those who opposed Brexit in the first place, in the hope of delaying the inevitable. So let's take a listen. Welcome to Richard and Greg. Today is Tuesday the 31st of March 2020, and the time is 18:15 GMT. Yesterday, we had a conversation with controversially Greg, and I pointed out to him that both the Scottish National Party's leader and the Welsh Assembly Party leader both called on Boris Johnson to delay the Brexit talks with Europe, which were supposed to be completed by the end of this year, citing the coronavirus as an excuse or reason, depending which side of the argument you come from. Interestingly, both of these individual politicians and their parties were in favour of remaining within the European Union. So we thought it appropriate to ask Greg what his opinion is, but first providing us an update with the coronavirus figures. Good afternoon, Greg.
Good afternoon. Today I've just updated, and although we've already established that the figures really don't mean all that much, we have 828,000 cases around the world, which means that probably tomorrow it will go to 1 million. It depends who fudges which figures in what direction. But deaths have now gone over 40,000. They do seem to be doubling about every 3 days at the moment. So by the weekend, we'll be into the 100,000 deaths with very little doubt. And if we take the UK and compare that, we have 25,000 cases roughly recorded, and we have 1,789 deaths recorded. But do bear in mind, all sorts of contingencies come into this. People who are self-isolating but definitely have the symptoms don't classify as recorded. Realistically, you're talking of only those who are in hospital and under medical attention, and total deaths are not including deaths at home, nor are they including as yet deaths in nursing homes or anywhere but hospital. So the figures are a bit of a fudge. America is now on 176,518 recorded instances and 3,431 deaths. Italy is hotly pursuing when it comes to cases recorded with 105,792, but it's far outstripping everybody with 12,428 deaths. So the figures vary so much, it really does make a little bit of a nonsense. Just a quick tip to people who are isolated at home and not going out other than for essential shopping. May I suggest, not by way of human sacrifice, but by common sense, that when you go shopping, by all means, the male drives the car just to get out of the house, but the wife or female does the shopping without the male going into the shop. The reason being, quite simply, but statistics are showing at the moment that 70% of the cases that have recorded are male. Therefore, you're reducing the probability or possibility of a husband and wife or partners catching the disease. But please don't think that this is picking on women in some way. It is common sense to reduce the risk for couples. So let's move on to Brexit. Richard has highlighted a point that has been coming up in the media, but then again, the media are nothing to follow at the moment because realistically, they aren't reporting news anymore. It's just endless reporters interviewing reporters who know nothing about what they're talking about to have opinion as to what they can say that's new about coronavirus. I must admit, Richard and I are to some extent having the same problem because we wish to give you a constant feed of information and update so that you know what is going on with coronavirus and any tips, ideas, or help that we can. But it does become very samey when we're just reading through lists of casualties and pointing out just how inaccurate they are. What are we actually providing you with? Well, at the end of the day, a guide. So looking at Brexit, there is a claim that MPs, particularly European MEPs who have clamoured against Britain leaving the European Union for several years now and have no interest in the well-being of Britain, but do seem to have a great interest in access to our bank account, are now clamouring that we must now put off our Brexit final separation from the 31st of December, which even they had agreed, if reluctantly, to some distant time in the future with a greater period in which to negotiate. Negotiate what? They're doing everything they possibly can to try to avoid coming to an equitable and morally sensible deal whereby Britain leaves. We're leaving on the 31st of December. A majority of the British electorate voted for it. It has been decided. We have run this country as a democracy for several hundred years. We have done it based on, at times, the tiniest of majorities. When you look at the concept of European devolution of regions, less than 1 in 4 of the population of Wales voted in favour of devolution and having its own Mickey Mouse assembly. So we are leaving. A majority voted to leave. We overwhelmingly voted in a Prime Minister who was the only one who had promised to honour our country's democratic principles. The Tory party undertook that they would leave by the 31st of December, and by the 31st of December, we will leave, coronavirus or not. We didn't vote for the virus, I promise you, but there are lots of other things we didn't vote for either. I do get the feeling that the European Union is looking in some terror at its own future. When you look around Europe at the moment, and every single country is making up its own rules, its own regulations, and its own structure for dealing with coronavirus. Furthermore, they are reintroducing borders. They're even introducing borders within their countries. So much for the European Union's Central Dictator Committee. Nobody seems to be listening to it. I personally think one of the most important deaths as a result of COVID-19 will be the demise of the European Union. And there is further fear amongst the apparatchiks of Europe and the unelected bureaucrats in that everybody knows that there will be a massive financial hit as a result of this. Economies will be in trouble, but looking at the way it's going, not only are various countries that still remain in the European Union likely to opt out, it looks as if the euro will be in great trouble. There is no interest in Britain in remaining one day past the 31st of December in order to bail out their centralized currency that we never opted into in the first place, that was supposed to make a one-size-fits-all and has proved conclusively that one size does not fit all. Olives in Greece and Italy do not sell with such ease at the same cost in Greece and Italy as they do in Sweden, where they've had to be trucked thousands of miles. It really is a ridiculous concept. Even America hasn't gone as far as the European Union, with states making federal decisions that pertain to the state. Unlike Europe, where everybody is supposed to be doing the same thing. No, Europe, as far as Britain is concerned, good luck to those who remain in the European Union. Good luck to the, what is it, about 15 countries in Europe that are not members of the European Union. And good luck to those who wish to leave the European Union. We wish you all well, because it is not in our interest to see any country, in Europe particularly, suffer. But it's not in our interest to suffer to prop them all up either.
So, Greg, you are absolutely certain that the coronavirus will not, cannot, and shall not be used to delay the actual departure date?
The people who are clamoring for it to delay it are not addressing the coronavirus. They are merely reiterating their worn out and discredited mantra, which is we mustn't leave the European Union. We, the British people, voted to leave. Get over it. Let's row the boat together, instead of these duplicitous individuals inventing further reasons, as far as they're concerned, reasons, excuses to delay. We're leaving. It's been promised to us by our government. It has been promised by the vast majority of our parliament. It was an elected parliament, elected because it undertook to leave the European Union. Many of us have wanted out for almost 50 years and realised what a folly it was.
So there are no signs from the British government to suggest there could be any delay?
There are no signs whatsoever from those with integrity.
That's not what I asked.
Yeah.
Are there signs from the British government that there could be a delay, or are there signs that there most certainly will not be a delay?
There are signs there most certainly will not, because a promise was made by the British government. And do not forget that one condition of being selected as a Tory MP that was held from the centre of the party was that you must go along with the policy. Many Tory MPs left the party.
Right, Greg. I'm glad you're that certain, and I sincerely hope that you are right, and that when we have a discussion on the 1st of January 2021, we will not be thinking back to this YouTube presentation thinking, how wrong was I? Greg, thank you so much.
My pleasure. I have trust in our own politicians, shaky though they are.
Thank you so much for listening, and we hope you enjoyed that discussion. If you wish to help support this channel, we've placed various Amazon links in the description box below, all of which are self-explanatory, and any purchases from which we shall receive a small commission to help grow the channel further. Meanwhile, please do not forget to subscribe and press the bell sign so that you're notified of any future videos as and when they are published. In addition, we have 2 complementary channels, the first Illuminati Silver and the second Trump for President 2020. And if either of these are of interest to you, then kindly go over to those likewise and subscribe. Until next time.